Hi guys, David Wright here, and I just wanted to give you this little bit of experience from what happened to me here the last week or so. Okay, so a couple of weeks ago now, it was actually 3 weeks ago I think, went to Leroy Merlin's. That's a local builders merchants here. It's a bit like the equivalent to B&Q in the UK. So Leroy Merlin's I've been using for my properties here for since I've been here, really 23 years, and they've been a fantastic service. The staff have been amazing. So anyway, I went in to order some air conditioning units for two of my upstairs bedrooms, and I wanted to get in early before the rush, because I know this time of year people start having air conditioning fitted, and if you leave it too late it's almost impossible to get it done before the hot weather comes. So last year I had two units fitted in some bedrooms, and this year thought we'd have the same thing, the same units. And so we went in early to order it, and set a date. We bought the units, paid up front. We paid 1,780, I think 1,800 euros for the units, including the fitting. Now, part of that price was the fitting costs with their fitters. That was 499 euros for the fitting. So anyway, so we booked a time and date for about 10 days later, which was last week. And they were supposed to come on a Monday. Monday, they said they'd be there between midday and afternoon. We didn't get any calls or anything until 7:30 in the evening from the fitters to say it's too late now, they'll be coming the next day. So that was a waste of a day, whole day. And my wife actually had time off to be with me in the house, ready for them. Everything was prepared for them, and didn't turn up. So next day, they said they'd be there. They turned up the next day. About 4 hours late. So when they turned up, they came in, put all the tools down, had a walk around and everything. And the first thing they did was look. There was two fitters. Was one of them look at it and said, "Well, they need extra pipe work, and the pipe work is not included." And I said, "What do you mean the pipe work's not included?" No, he said, "The pipe work's not included." I said to them, "You mean the cover when they finish the cover?" Trunking you put over the pipework is not included." So I said, "No, that's not included as well, but the pipework, you need extra pipework. We only allowed to fit 2 meters of pipework. You need 4 or 6 meters or something, so 4 meters extra pipework." And I said, "How is that not included? We paid for the price, you know. It's like saying you buy a car but the wheels are not included. We need the pipework, and how is that not included?" Well, he said, "I'll work it out," and he worked it out, and he said, "It's 122 euros extra. Do you want it, or we go?" And I couldn't believe what I was hearing in Spanish. And I said, "What do you mean? If I don't pay, you're gonna go?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, I've got not much choice, have I? You know, we've wasted this time already. Okay, I'll pay the 122 euros. I thought, well, I can go in and complain about that later, because I've got some clout with the VIP staff at Leroy Merlin, as I've bought so much more materials. I spent when I was building my house, I spent about 150,000 in the first year of building my house in there. So I have got some pretty good service, and I know the managers there, and I know the pro staff there that look after higher ranking customers. So I thought I can complain about that anyway. So he said, "No, you can't pay with cash or check. You have to pay with a link." So I said, "Okay, well, send me the link." So they sent me a link from Leroy Merlin's to pay, which I've used before, and I paid with a Bitsum app, and it's all done electronically. And I got a notification to say it had been paid, and I showed him the notification, and he went, "Okay, yeah," and it's got the date on there, the time I've paid, the amount, and who it was paid to, the lot, even a reference number. So he said, "No, we can't start yet. We've got to wait for my boss." Waited 25 minutes for a call. He phoned his boss a few times. This is not Leroy Merlin's boss. This is a subcontractor's boss. Anyway, didn't get back to him. The boss is out or something or other. And then they said, put their tools in the van. They said, "We're going." I mean, "What do you mean we're going?" He said, "We haven't had an authorisation." I said, "But I've paid. You can see I've paid." "No," he said, "we can't wait anymore. We're going." And they left. I was absolutely fuming. I got on my motorbike, went into the store, went straight to speak to the head of the pro department. I told him the story, and he said, "That's terrible." He said, "Leave it with me, I'll get back to you." And I told him I've already paid the extra bit. I had a check from a discount check, so I didn't have to pay the full amount of 122 euros. It was around 90 odd euros I had to pay them. So I said to him, "Well, I'm going to cancel it. I'm going to go and cancel that." So I went to my bank, I cancelled that payment, and I was going to cancel the whole installation process. So I started looking around for other fitters. It's really difficult this time of year. I did get a quote. It was almost the same price as Leroy's were charging, but it's a guy that I was recommended me by somebody I know very well. And so I left it at that. Next day, I got a call from the department at Leroy Merlin's saying that very, very sorry, the service that I've provided, it's not normal, and they will scrub the fee of installation, the €122 extra for the pipe work. It was some extra pipe work that is needed because it's a little bit longer distance to route the air conditioning than originally expected, although no one ever came to look at it. And they would pay for that extra installation cost €122. So I said, okay, fine. When can you do it? Next week. Okay, next week. So I booked in a date for next week. Then I got a message from the fitters company. It comes under the heading of Leroy Merlin's, but it's not Leroy Merlin's, saying that I'm still waiting for the payment of €122 plus a €40 extra fee for an extra date because I didn't keep the original date. So I sent a message back saying that we did keep the dates. They cancelled it on 2 occasions now, and I would not be paying any extra. So they said, well, when you're ready to have it fitted, let us know. We will not be there until I've paid the €122. So back I go to Leroy Merlin, told them about the messages. They took me to see one of the managers that subcontract this building that works out. And she said, no, there's been a mistake. They will send a fitter around next week, and they will not pay for any. I will not pay for any of the extra payments. It's all within the original price that I paid in the shop in Leroy Merlin's, and they will cover any extra cost. The fitters will be there at 10 o'clock on Tuesday morning. Tuesday morning came, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. 11:30 they turned up, came in. Attitude was quite cold. Probably they've been told by their boss what's been going on. Came in, went up to the bedrooms and started fitting it. Their tools were all over the place, including boxes of stuff on my bed, or on our bed, which has got a white bed sheet on there. Wasn't very happy about that. On the second bedroom that they were fitting, they put the air conditioning units, unpacked it and put it on top of the bed. No cover sheets down or anything like that, straight on top of the bed linen, and started drilling holes in the wall, dust going all over the floor, no dust sheets down, anything like that. So I just had to walk away. I couldn't say anything because I know they was going to walk out and we had to go through all this process again. So I just let them get on with it. Anyway, they got on with it. Undenied about how difficult it was to make holes in the wall and all sorts of problems that, that were not really problems. And anyway, they finished, and they didn't put the cover trunking on the outside unit on the wall. They didn't put a covering over the pipes. There's a plastic covering that goes over. It goes in a trunking to make it all nice and neat. And I asked him why he hadn't done that. He said because there's 4 pipes and the trunking is only for 2. So I said, well, why didn't you put 2 bits of trunk in there and put 2 pipes in each? No, he said because the pipes won't do that, won't sit flat against the wall, and some of the piping that they'd put on the outside of the wall, it's got a cover sleeve over it, an insulation cover, like sponge cover, and that was damaged in several places where they passed it through the wall and got it ripped. I asked him about that. He said, no, that's fine. He said, that'd be all right. That's just a cover part. So I said to him, well, this is brand new installation, brand new pipe work, and I've paid for it, and the pipe work is damaged. The covering is damaged. Oh, it's all right. It's not a problem. You put some tape over that, which they didn't do. So I just shrugged my shoulders, let them get on with it, finish the job, and off they went. So I'm very disappointed with the fitters. Now, I must say that Leroy Merlin, their servicing shop, has been exceptional. They're always very good. The staff are always very polite, and they always help and solution the problems. But they sub this work out to their fitters, which is subcontractors, and they do this with lots of installation. If you have tiling done, anything like that, so be very, very careful. These tradespeople are not very good at all. They just want to get in and get out as quickly as they can. And with my experience of building work, I watched over them, but I'm not happy at all with the installation. I ended up putting some covering over these pipe works, filling up all the holes in the outside. None of the holes were filled up where the pipes go into the wall, so water would have come into the house. My building experience, I had spent about 2 hours yesterday making good the work of these fitters, which should have been included in the price. So if you're going to Leroy Merlin's, I thoroughly recommend them. I thoroughly recommend their staff, and they're very, very helpful. I must say that now. But be very, very careful if you get any external works done like that. They get these fitters in, and their fitters are, I've had several experiences with their fitters now, and I definitely will not be using any of their fitting again. I'll go outside to people that are self-employed here, and do it that way. So bad experience for me, very bitter taste in my mouth yesterday, but there you go, that's done. Part of being here in Spain, you just have to be very careful for that. We did have some fitters from Leroy's that fitted the first lot of units, and they were exceptionally good. They were South American, I think they're from Argentina. They did a very good job, put the trunking in, so it can be done correctly. It's just you've got to be very careful on these fitters. So hope that experience has given you some heads up, and if you've had any experience, let us know in the comments.